Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's 2 p.m. and we'll call the meeting to order. Do we have any committee or public comments? Stan, anything? Anyone else? All right. Do we have any public comments, Chris? Okay. All right. Item number 3, Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. Committee to discuss actions taken at the IWVGA board meeting on June 9th and potential action on items moving forward. Stan.
Sorry about that. Now, can you hear me now? We had a board meeting, a water district board meeting after the June 9th meeting, which I went into excruciating details, and I'm not going to go through that again. I've got a couple items I want to talk about, but then if anybody has any questions about it, I'll be glad to go back into the details, but I doubt that anybody is that interested. Two things. The Searles Valley Minerals canceled their request to stay the replenishment fees for Searles Valley Minerals. Not exactly sure why that happened, to be quite honest, but I think you got the notice that happened.
Yeah.
And the only other thing that's noteworthy is the Water District did file a comprehensive adjudication, and there's been a public release, news release for that, and it's been in several newspapers. So that's going to start getting a little bit of visibility, and it's going to be interesting to see how that actually affects what's going on now, because it has the potential, not necessarily will, affect a lot of different things that are going on now. But without a crystal ball, we're not going to know. I suspect it's going to be at least 2 or 3 months before everything shakes out, minimum. So if you have any questions, or if the public, up to you.
No. Any public questions or comments on item A? All right, now let's move on.
And by the way, I have no idea what's going to be on the agenda for the next meeting. Otherwise, I would have
The
said
next GA
something.
meeting? Yeah.
Yeah, the next GA meeting is obviously in July, after our next board meeting, actually.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you. All right, committee to 3B, committee to review and discuss the Navy COSO project list and any other future project lists developed for possible grant options. So I think we covered the Navy prioritized list the last meeting. Good afternoon. Is there anything on this list that we wanted to go back over?
No, I think there's nothing new that I would like to offer. I would like to, I guess, ask, at one point in time, I think it was Don Decker brought up the idea of having a seismic investigation of the area in the El Paso, and I wasn't sure if that was the same thing as Project 5 or not. It would maybe be functionally the same thing, but not necessarily from a technological standpoint the same thing.
Okay.
But I do think that it's something that needs to be done, and they're that kind of thing. And I guess my feeling is, from a prioritization standpoint, I believe we're going to be talking about the El Paso area on our workshop, and so hopefully that'll get some good discussion going.
Okay.
My feeling is it's time we actually do something in that area, but that's all I have.
All right, thank you. So for the public, we have 2 projects that are essentially wanting to install stream gauges and recharge, measure recharge into the valley that way. There's a project for reusing water on base. There's another one for capturing water that would normally go out onto impervious areas and be evaporated. And then there's the project that Stan just talked about, which would be 60 linear mile study of the valley to fill in some blanks in the, or perceived blanks in the geologic understanding of the basin. All right. Does anybody have any comments on item 3B? Is everybody, Chris, on the line that has a comment on 3B? Okay. Then let's go ahead and move to item 4, the Brackish Water Study. Jason, I understand you have a missive from the general manager.
I do. A draft of the third project progress report will be distributed for comment to the funding partners once the current balance in the group's account is confirmed. Wade Major with Aqualogic is reconciling his numbers with the district's records. Once the number is confirmed and the partners have completed review of the report, it will be submitted to the Department of Water Resources along with the third invoice. The third invoice in the amount of $99,717 is also being finalized for submittal to DWR. The total billed, including the third invoice, would be $351,894. DWR will hold back 10% or $35,189 of that amount for retention. Conclusions and next steps to finalize the analysis of the aquifer test results include additional evaluation of the effect of barometric pressure, additional evaluation of effect of Meadowbrook irrigation during the test on NR1 and NR2, and identify the source of unknown pumping in vicinity of test that had an apparent effect on the results. Barometric pressure had measurable but predictable response at the wells. This effect likely had a negligible impact on the test results, but additional evaluation is ongoing. Possible interference from unknown wells was observed in both the pumping and recovery data. Responses seen at NR1 and NR2 may or may not be associated with pumping at Leelighter 360. Evaluation of the data is continuing. Both DWR and the Brackish Water Group have expressed a desire to collect and analyze brackish groundwater samples from both NR1D and NR2D, as the additional data will result in a better understanding of the brackish water characteristics within the study area. The estimated cost to complete the remaining items under Task 5, including finalizing the aquifer test results, purging and collecting groundwater samples from NR1D and NR2D, overseeing that field program, analyzing the groundwater samples, and reporting on those results. The total cost of $83,534 would result in a budget shortfall of approximately $28,447 within the overall Task 5 budget. Once the balance remaining in the group's account is confirmed, the shortfall could be covered by this account if the funding partners were amenable.
Okay, thank you. Stan, anything on the Brackish Water Study that you're aware of?
Well, nothing new, nothing that I haven't said multiple times before is I'd like to see how it all fits together in a big picture, in a big scheme of things. How is brackish water really going to be helpful? And I'm open to it. I just, at this point in time, you know, Tim put together an effort to try to convince, I guess, people that it had a place. I don't think I'm ready to quite buy into it yet. And hopefully this report that's coming out will try to pull things together, the big picture. So if we decide to go on and do any further studies, we know that we're not just throwing good money after bad.
Okay, all right, thank you. Are there any comments from anybody else in the committee or from the public? I think it should be all, it should be okay to go.
You can probably pull it up, yeah.
Study the brackish water, you know, every possible source of water in this valley, with potential of, you know, avoiding a $200 million run of pipe from way south to import water into this valley, you know, further severely tax people. And there's two things. One is kind of a nebulous engineering type philosophy about the brackish water, and that is that it's intimately tied with evaporated water coming off of where it ponds out and it goes up in the atmosphere. My viewpoint of that is at that point that becomes water it's actually lost the valley. It's up in the air. It's out of the valley. I think there's an argument we could make to the state that whatever brackish water, amount of water we could treat and resupply to the valley is new water. Therefore, that's more recharge. We could argue could be part of the whole picture. I think you could probably make that case, and I think it's worth making the case, because as I've, correct me, Stan, didn't you say it's somewhere like over 5,000 acre feet potentially evaporates off of those orders? What was the number? Do you know?
Are you talking about ET?
Yeah,
It's 4,850 today.
okay. So that's a lot of water. You know, tied in with the recycled water, we could be balanced, basically. And the other, you know, good thing about treating the brackish water, you pull some of that out of there and treat that. And of course, we've all heard, you know, the statements, we keep pumping, we got this pool of good water, and then the brackish stuff is gonna seep back in there, mess it up, salinate it, stuff like that. So that's another advantage to pursuing the brackish water potential and looking at pulling that out of the ground and treating that and making that some kind of a semi-potable water for reinjection somewhere into the aquifer. So I think it's worth pursuing, and I think it might actually bring us pretty big benefits in the future. And I don't recall, I've lost track of all the things the GA is chasing. They may be chasing this, but as far as I'm concerned, the Water District does pretty much everything better than the GA does, so we need to really chase this hard.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think part of the issue is going to be where we're pulling the brackish water out of, and what's the result of that, and how that actually helps the water budget. And right now, the Navy is not supporting the brackish water study the way we would like them to, and we got to turn that around. Now, on the other hand, if indeed we can demonstrate analytically through some studies that there really is benefit, I think we can maybe get the Navy to turn around. But it's going to be, the issue is going to be, you know, where we're going to pull the brackish water out. I think, to see how that impacts the water budget. I agree, there's potential. I couldn't agree more.
Okay. Chris, is there anyone on telephone? Okay, very good. So let's move on to item number 5, alternate water sources. Staff, anything they'd like to add? Okay.
No.
All right. Stan, anything?
I'm assuming that we're going to talk about some of this during our August
Workshop?
workshop,
Yep.
5th workshop.
I believe so.
And I guess my feeling is the exploration ought to be on there, big time. There's no point in going through it again, because we've already done that here. We just need to push it forward. And then the recycled water, I think is something that hopefully will also be on the workshop, and I will at least nominate it. And then if there is any new information regarding the brackish water, the implementation of the brackish water, I think people have been working the brackish water issue for years and years and years. So it's not the brackish water per se, it's how you put it together. And if there's some additional information available by August 5th, that would also be a good thing. But there's no point in us rehashing it here over and over, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Are there any comments from our listeners or from the public?
Mike Neal again. I didn't hear Mr. Drawer bring up looking at the water sources in the El Pasos that have been brought up several times. And there again, you know, I haven't looked at it in much detail at all, but I believe the figure of potential 3,000 acre feet per year can be pulled out of there. You know, Apparently you've got wells that have water levels going up. So something's going up there, going on down in that area. And, like I said, every single possible source of water in this valley, you know, we need to look at it seriously. And if we had to push on people, whatever we have to do, it's worth doing, because finding a balance and getting it done locally, in the area is highly desirable, and not getting there is highly undesirable. So, we need to look at that. I'm not aware of any other potentials, but, you know, that's one that I'm not aware of seeing a lot of action, and it's a potential there, and it needs to get the proper attention so that we can either exhaust it and say, you know, not a good option, not much going on there, or we can say, hey, we got, you know, if we find 3,000 acre feet, that's a big deal these days, so it's worth it.
All right, thank you for your comments. Anyone online, Chris? All right, very good. That'll bring us to item number 6, future agenda items. Stan, anything you'd like to have added?
Actually, I think we need to probably get through the workshop and look to see what comes out, maybe. I take that back a little bit. We're right now in the throes of updating the urban water management plan. I believe that is under the focus of this group. And an attachment to that is the water shortage contingency plan. And so I believe that's also under our jurisdiction. I don't know where the general plan sits. Is that that maybe the executive group, or is it this group? I don't, somebody needs to be, I guess my feeling is, I think the public is going to want to look at these things, so we're going to need to get them out to the board and to the public to review, because I think there are some milestones coming up in the very near future, and we want to make sure that we're making it as transparent as we possibly can be. I think we don't want to use the COVID as an excuse to not have the public chime in. We need to get as much visibility on all three of those documents as possible.
Well, my understanding from the last Water Management Committee from General Manager was that both those documents were being worked on right now. So I don't know when they'll be done, but hopefully soon. Okay.
Is there a schedule? I mean, it's
I don't know.
the 2020 urban water management plan that we're writing in 2021.
Yes.
It would seem that we probably ought to have that done pretty soon, but what I don't want to do is get to the point where we have to have it, and so we just, you know, okay.
Would you like to add
good
that
enough.
to the agenda for the next meeting?
Sure, why not?
Very good. We'll have that added to the next meeting.
I believe they're in the final stages, so you should see something within the next month or so.
Good, excellent.
And I think the general plan would fall under either admin exec or P&E, considering all the capital projects that are going to be in it.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else? Future agenda items? All right, then we'll go to item 7, adjournment. I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 2:19.
Good show.